As the economy grows, we continue our advocacy of informing and educating our people on how to save and spend their money. Tonight, we are privileged to have with us Mr. Anton Mauricio, one of the top financial executives of the country, founder of Finance Educators of the Financial Executives of the Philippines, or FINEX. Good evening, sir, and welcome to NewsLife.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you for having me.
Sir, just to start us off, can you just give us a little bit of a background on FINEX and what you do in terms of finance education?
Well, FINEX is the country's premier finance organization. We're composed of 700 members from the top companies in the Philippines. Normally, they're chief finance officers or bank executives.
So for the benefit of our viewers, what is financial literacy? And in simple language, can you explain what it's all about and why it's very important for all Filipinos to understand it?
Well, in the Philippine context, when you talk about financial literacy, it's basically an understanding of where to invest your money, how to save, how to create a disposable income, and basically not being confused as to where to put your money, that you're going to get into financial trouble. So financial literacy is an understanding of how finance and investing works. Well, Robert, I usually start by saying that normally you should have an awareness of finance, and then an understanding of finance, which is financial literacy. And then if you take it further, like a banker, you are going to be financially proficient or proficiency in finance.
Right now, do we have actual data on how many % of our people actually understand finance?
Well, there is no official legal definition of finance literacy, so they don't actually say, okay, there's a certain percentage of people not financially literate or financially literate. However, we do have our conventional wisdom on how we go about it. For example, Filipinos have an innate fear of math and accounting. Basically prevents them from really planning for the future, because that's what you need, proficiency in that. So when you're talking about how much percentage of the population is financially literate or financially illiterate, well, how much percentage of the population invest their money in banks? What percentage of the population actually invest in the stock market? I would say, 30% is a generous percentage.
With that in mind, how young do you think should we educate our children with regards to finance or business or entrepreneurship?
I think from the start, I think we could learn a lot from the Chinese and even Indians, who really train their children, expose them to business at a very early age. That's why the Chinese are so good at numbers. They're comfortable with it. They consider it as a fact of life. They're not afraid of it. So I think as young as possible.
Is FINEX, are you partnered with other organizations like, let's say, the BSP or the Department of Education, in terms of how we can actually create a module in our schools to start teaching finance, business, or entrepreneurship at, let's say, grade school level?
Okay, good question, Robert. Right now, there's a lot of efforts that are running parallel, like the BSP has its own financial education efforts. The Department of Education is trying to step up financial literacy by incorporating examples into other subjects. But I would say there isn't really an all-encompassing cohesive framework that defines a financial education roadmap for the country, and I think that's going to happen very soon, because we have made great progress with regard to upgrading of financial education in the country. And yes, you're right, it has to start at the elementary school level. It has to be the Department of Education with all the resources of government in order to create that. But then again, if I can just add, when you learn finance or financial literacy or investing or just saving your coins in a piggy bank, at home, that's quite valuable. But if you learn it in class, and then when you go home, you see your parents spending, you see they're not saving money, that creates a lasting impact on the values and attitudes of the youth, which he carries with him. And so right now, we have that cycle of, spending and spending without a lot of saving, and that's what we're trying to correct, Robert.
Looking at savings, how do we actually encourage our people to save money, either in a bank or, as you said, maybe start at home in a piggy bank?
Well, Robert, you're part of it. Your show is part of it, because the how is, my answer to that is a big emphasis on one word: repetition. Because I've gone to seminars, finance education in all markets, grassroots, students, professionals. After the seminar, they all agree, and then they forget. So what we want to do is just keep at it, repetition, via the media, via seminars, via training, talking about it, newspapers, magazines. I think if we all are involved in this effort, eventually it will catch on. It's like the stock market. Before, people were inquiring about the stock market, but now they're actually investing in the stock market, and that's a good sign for all of us.
And now, moving on from savings, now we've seen actually the stock market is very bullish. The economy is doing very well since last year and continuing in the first quarter and second quarter of this year. Now, how do we actually convince them to invest? And where can they actually invest? And are there, let's say, organizations or people where they can actually go to seek financial advice?
Okay. Well, for the first question, I think it's working itself out. The economic growth of the country is creating opportunities for more investors. Why? Because they can see their neighbor earning money in the stock market. So there's no proof like actual people earning from an investment. And that's a double-edged sword, because maybe your neighbor also went into multi-level marketing and was earning also, and then you went into that. But what we want to emphasize is, if you know your risk-return portfolio and you know that you can invest in the stock market relatively safely, then that's a good sign.
And now, looking at the grassroots level, for those who don't actually have enough money, especially the poor, how do we actually teach them to earn a living so that in turn that they can save, and in the future they can actually invest their money?
That's where we get back to values. When you talk about savings, you're talking about a value of sacrifice, of saving for the present in order to spend for your future. Okay, so I think, again, my answer is repetition. We can have money to invest if we have a lot of disposable income, which we, I think, should not spend. If we get something, if we get salary, 30% of it, just put it aside for the future.
Is there a final word for our viewers?
Oh, yes. What we're trying to do is taking finance education, having our partners in the media and all parallel partners to just keep on saying the message, we should save, we should invest smartly, and we should think about our future more by being more financially literate. Thank you for this opportunity, Rob.
Okay, on that note, thank you very much for joining us here at NewsLife. That was Mr. Anton Mauricio, Board Director of FINEX. Thank you, sir.